Ladies and gentlemen, time is a resource, an unforgiving one. Unlike money, health, or even relationships, time is utterly indifferent to your desires or intentions. It ticks away, second by second, with no pause, no rewind, and no negotiation. Yet paradoxically, it's often the thing we squander most freely, as if there will always be more, but there won't. Let's be honest. How often do you find yourself scrolling through a device, procrastinating or deferring the things you know are important? How often do you justify this with a false sense of tomorrow? I'll get to it later. I have time. It's not urgent right now. Those words are poisonous because they're grounded in an illusion, the illusion that opportunities will wait for you. But they won't. Opportunities are fleeting, ephemeral things. They present themselves in moments, sometimes subtly, sometimes boldly, but always briefly. And the problem is that when you're wasting time, you're not just letting moments slip away. You're weakening the very part of you that recognizes opportunity in the first place. Think about it. Every time you choose distraction over discipline, you're reinforcing a pattern, a neural circuit, that makes it easier to avoid responsibility tomorrow. And then the next day, and the next. It doesn't take long before this becomes a way of being. And once you're there, opportunities don't disappear, they simply stop being visible to you. Now, why do we waste time? Fear mostly. Fear of failure, fear of discomfort, fear of the unknown. Taking action means risk, means facing the possibility that we'll fall short or be judged or lose. So instead we retreat into the familiar, the comfortable, the distracting. We let our time be consumed by things that demand nothing and offer nothing in return. But let me ask you this, do you want to look back on your life in 10 years, 20, or 50, and see a trail of wasted potential? Do you want to be haunted by the realization that you could have been more, achieved more, contributed more? That the person you were meant to become never fully materialized because you didn't have the courage to seize the opportunities before you? I hope not. So what's the alternative? It's simple, but not easy. First, recognize that every moment matters. Time is a tyrant, yes, but it's also a gift. Treat it as such. Plan your days, your weeks, your years with purpose. Not obsessively, but intentionally. What are you aiming at? What do you want to accomplish? And who do you need to become to make that happen? Second, train yourself to act, especially when it's hard. Discipline isn't something you're born with, it's something you cultivate. Start small. Do the thing you don't want to do, the workout, the phone call, the studying. Prove to yourself that you're capable of doing hard things, and you'll find that the hard things become easier over time. And finally, look for the opportunities that surround you. They're there, even now, even when life feels stagnant or overwhelming. But they don't shout, they whisper. And if your mind is dulled by distraction, you'll miss them. The world is waiting for you to step up, to stop wasting time, and to start living in alignment with your potential. That's your responsibility, and it's not one you can outsource or defer. No one's coming to save you, and no one owes you anything. But here's the good news. Within you is everything you need to rise. You have the capacity to make better choices, to take responsibility for your time, and to seize the opportunities that come your way. And when you do, you'll discover something remarkable. Life opens up for those who refuse to waste it. Doors appear where there seemed to be none. The person you thought you were, an anxious, procrastinating, unsure version of yourself, fades into the background, replaced by someone stronger, sharper, and more capable. Don't waste that chance. Time is the one resource we cannot replenish, purchase, or earn more of. Every second that ticks by is gone forever, and yet, so often, we behave as if this resource is infinite. There's a strange paradox in human behavior. We obsess over saving money, protecting our possessions, and safeguarding our physical health. But we spend our time, arguably the most valuable asset we have, with a kind of reckless abandon. This careless attitude is not without consequence, as every moment wasted is a moment you cannot get back, and it slowly but surely chips away at the potential for who you could become. It's worth reflecting on how we come to value time. From an early age, we're taught about its presence in abstract terms: hours on a clock, days on a calendar, deadlines and schedules. But rarely do we grapple with its finite nature. It's only when we face a pressing deadline, a missed opportunity, or a profound life event that we begin to comprehend its urgency. In those moments, time becomes real to us, not just as a measurement, but as a substance slipping through our fingers. This understanding should provoke a sense of responsibility. If time is finite and irreplaceable, then how you spend it is perhaps the most important decision you make every day. Yet, so much of modern life is designed to distract, to draw your focus away from meaningful pursuits and toward transient pleasures. Social media, endless streams of entertainment, and the constant buzz of notifications are all vying for your attention, promising brief moments of gratification but delivering little of lasting value. These distractions don't just steal your time, they steal your potential. When you waste time, you're not just delaying the completion of a task or the achievement of a goal. You're weakening the part of yourself that seeks fulfillment and growth. Each time you choose the path of least resistance, you reinforce a habit of avoidance. And habits, as we know, are powerful. The more you indulge in wasting time, the more natural it becomes. And before long, it's not just a bad day or a lazy afternoon, it's a way of life. Think about the cumulative effect of this. A single wasted hour might seem insignificant in the grand scheme of things, but time doesn't exist in isolation. It's connected, one moment building upon the next. Wasting an hour today makes it easier to waste another tomorrow, and so on. This cascading effect has the potential to shape the trajectory of your life, leading you further and further from the person you could have been. At the heart of this issue is a failure to recognize the value of time in relation to your potential. Potential is not some abstract quality. It's a real, tangible thing. It's the gap between who you are and who you could become. But potential isn't automatic. It's not a guarantee that you'll achieve great things simply because you exist. Realizing your potential requires effort, focus, and, above all, the proper use of time. Opportunities are fleeting. They won't wait for you to act. This truth is both a challenge and a call to action, as it forces us to confront the nature of opportunity itself. Opportunities do not arrive on a silver platter, nor do they linger patiently while we weigh our options, indulge in hesitation, or distract ourselves with trivialities. They emerge briefly, often in unexpected ways, and then they vanish just as quickly, leaving behind only the realization of what could have been. The transient nature of opportunity demands not just recognition, but immediate action, which is where most people falter. When we think about missed opportunities, we often imagine grand, obvious moments: job offers, critical decisions, or life-changing events. However, many opportunities come disguised in the mundane, hidden in the ordinary routines of life. They might take the form of a conversation that could lead to a new connection, a chance to learn a new skill, or a moment of insight that requires effort to act upon. These smaller opportunities are just as significant as the larger ones because they often serve as stepping stones to something greater. Yet they are also the easiest to overlook, dismissed as insignificant, or postponed indefinitely. One of the reasons people fail to seize opportunities is the pervasive illusion of abundance. We tell ourselves there will always be another chance, another time, another situation where everything will align perfectly. This mindset is not only untrue but dangerous, as it fosters complacency. Life is not infinite, and neither are the opportunities within it. Each moment you delay, each chance you ignore, you risk losing forever. The harsh reality is that the perfect alignment of circumstances is rare, and waiting for it often leads to inaction. Hesitation is another enemy of seizing opportunity. The human mind is wired to analyze and evaluate, which is a valuable trait when used wisely. However, overthinking can be paralyzing, causing us to lose the moment entirely. When faced with uncertainty or risk, the mind tends to focus on potential negatives, magnifying fears of failure or discomfort. These fears can override the sense of urgency required to act, leaving us stuck in a cycle of indecision. In many cases, by the time we've convinced ourselves to take the leap, the opportunity has already passed. Fear is perhaps the most significant barrier to taking action. Opportunities often involve stepping outside of our comfort zones, confronting the unknown, or facing the possibility of failure. The human brain is naturally inclined to seek safety and avoid risk, which is why so many people retreat from opportunity rather than embracing it. This aversion to discomfort creates a paradox. While we fear the challenges associated with opportunity, it is precisely those challenges that allow us to grow and achieve more. By avoiding them, we not only miss out on immediate benefits, but also stunt our long-term development. Another complicating factor is the subtlety with which opportunities often present themselves. They rarely announce their arrival with fanfare flashing lights. Instead, they appear quietly, disguised as problems to solve, hard decisions to make, or risks to take. It takes a trained eye and a focused mind to recognize them. Distraction, whether from external noise or internal doubt, can easily cloud our vision and prevent us from seeing what's right in front of us. The modern world, with its endless sources of entertainment and information, amplifies this problem, pulling our attention away from the opportunities that matter most. The fleeting nature of opportunity is also tied to its dependency on timing. Not all moments are created equal. Some are more conducive to action than others. An opportunity that aligns with the right time and context can propel you forward in ways that would otherwise be impossible. However, waiting too long often means the context changes. The people involved move on, the resources vanish, or the conditions that made the opportunity possible shift. Timing, therefore, is as much about readiness as it is about recognizing when to act. To make matters more complex, opportunities are rarely perfect. They often come wrapped in imperfection, requiring effort, adjustment, or sacrifice. This imperfection leads many to dismiss them outright, believing that the effort outweighs the reward. However, the truth is that no opportunity is flawless, and expecting perfection is another form of self-sabotage. Those who seize opportunities understand this. They are willing to work through the difficulties and uncertainties to extract the value hidden within. Opportunities once missed often leave behind regret. This regret is not just about the loss of the specific chance, but about the ripple effects that follow. Each opportunity carries with it a chain of possibilities, a path that could have been taken but wasn't. The weight of what could have been can linger, becoming a painful reminder of the cost of inaction. While it's impossible to pursue every opportunity, failing to act on the ones that truly matter leaves a void that can be difficult to fill later. There is also the issue of preparation. Many people wait for opportunities to appear before they begin to prepare, not realizing that preparation itself often creates opportunities. By honing skills, building knowledge, and cultivating relationships, you position yourself to recognize and seize opportunities when they arise. Without preparation, even the most obvious chances can slip through your fingers because you're not equipped to take advantage of them. Opportunities often demand sacrifice. They may require you to let go of comfort, stability, or the familiar in order to embrace the unknown. This trade-off is one of the most challenging aspects of acting on opportunity, as it forces you to prioritize long-term gain over short-term ease. Sacrifice, however, is the price of growth. Those who achieve great things understand this instinctively. They are willing to trade the present for the future, knowing that the rewards far outweigh the costs. Ultimately, the fleeting nature of opportunity is a reflection of life itself. Nothing lasts forever, and each moment carries with it the potential for change. This impermanence is not something to fear, but to embrace. It serves as a reminder to stay alert, to act decisively, and to live with intention. Opportunities will not wait, but they also do not discriminate. They are available to those who are ready, willing, and courageous enough to take the leap. Avoidance and distraction are insidious forces that quietly sabotage progress and potential. They operate under the radar, often disguised as harmless habits or temporary indulgences, but their effects are far-reaching and destructive. Every time we choose to avoid a task or responsibility, we create a small, almost imperceptible ripple in our minds. That ripple, however, is not harmless. It sets a precedent. It teaches our brain that avoiding discomfort is acceptable, that procrastination is a valid coping mechanism, and that it is better to postpone than to face the challenge at hand. Over time, these ripples grow into waves, and those waves solidify into patterns. The human mind is incredibly adaptable, but it is also profoundly susceptible to habit. When we repeatedly engage in avoidance or distraction, we're essentially training our brain to see that as the default response to stress or difficulty. This happens on a neurological level. Every action we take or fail to take creates a neural pathway. The more frequently we follow that pathway, the stronger it becomes. It's like walking through a forest. The first time you tread a new path, it's difficult, full of obstacles, but walk it enough times and it becomes well-worn and easy to traverse. The same principle applies to avoidance and distraction. The more we indulge them, the easier and more automatic they become. This pattern doesn't remain isolated to one area of life, it spreads. If you avoid a difficult task at work, you're more likely to avoid addressing a conflict in your personal life. If you distract yourself from studying by scrolling through social media, you're more likely to do the same when faced with other responsibilities. Avoidance and distraction don't operate in silos. They are habits that seep into every corner of your life, weakening your ability to confront challenges and diminishing your resilience. What makes avoidance particularly harmful is that it provides an immediate sense of relief. When you choose to put off a daunting task, there's a brief moment of comfort. That comfort, fleeting as it may be, reinforces the behavior. Your brain starts to associate avoidance with relief, and that association becomes a powerful motivator to repeat the cycle. This is why procrastination feels so alluring. It offers a temporary escape from discomfort, but that escape is deceptive. The discomfort doesn't disappear. It lingers in the background, growing stronger as the consequences of inaction mount. Distraction operates in a similar way. It offers a way to temporarily divert attention from what's important, and in today's world, distractions are everywhere. Social media, streaming platforms, notifications, and endless sources of entertainment make it easier than ever to avoid the things that truly matter. But distraction doesn't just steal your time, it fragments your focus. Every time you shift your attention from one thing to another, you lose momentum. Your ability to concentrate diminishes, and the task you're avoiding becomes even harder to tackle. Over time, this fragmented focus erodes your capacity for deep work, the kind of focused, uninterrupted effort that leads to meaningful progress and success. There's also a psychological toll to avoidance and distraction. Each time you avoid something you know you should be doing, a small part of you feels it. There's a nagging sense of guilt, a quiet awareness that you're not living up to your potential. This creates a cycle of self-doubt and dissatisfaction. The more you avoid, the worse you feel about yourself, and the worse you feel, the more likely you are to continue avoiding. It's a vicious cycle that's difficult to break, and it feeds into a broader sense of inertia, a feeling of being stuck, unmotivated, and incapable of change. The long-term consequences of these habits are profound. Avoidance and distraction don't just prevent you from accomplishing your goals, they shape who you are. Every decision you make, every action you take contributes to the person you're becoming. When you consistently choose avoidance and distraction, you're becoming someone who shies away from challenges, someone who prioritizes comfort over growth, someone who settles for less than they're capable of achieving. This isn't just about missing opportunities. It's about failing to develop the skills, resilience, and mindset needed to recognize and seize those opportunities in the first place. The irony is that avoidance and distraction often stem from a fear of failure. We avoid tasks because we're afraid we won't succeed, afraid we'll fall short of expectations, afraid of the discomfort that comes with effort. But in avoiding those tasks, we're creating the very conditions we fear. We're ensuring failure by not even giving ourselves the chance to try. And in doing so, we're reinforcing a narrative of inadequacy, a belief that we're not capable, not disciplined, not enough. This narrative becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, shaping our actions and our outcomes in a negative feedback loop. Breaking free from this pattern is challenging, but it's also essential. It requires a fundamental shift in how we view discomfort and effort. Discomfort is not something to be avoided. It's a sign of growth, a necessary part of progress. Effort is not a burden, it's a privilege, an opportunity to prove to ourselves what we're capable of. But recognizing this intellectually is not enough. Change requires action, deliberate and consistent action. to rewire the habits and patterns that have taken root. Each small act of discipline, each moment of choosing to confront a challenge rather than avoid it, weakens the grip of avoidance and distraction. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. It's about proving to yourself, one step at a time, that you're stronger than your excuses, more capable than your doubts, and more resilient than your fears. It's about reclaiming your time, your focus, and your potential from the insidious grip of avoidance and distraction. Discipline is the foundation of personal growth and achievement, yet it is one of the most misunderstood and underappreciated qualities. Many people believe that discipline is something innate, a trait that some are born with and others are not. This perception is not only incorrect, but also dangerously limiting. Discipline is not a gift bestowed upon a select few. It is a skill, a muscle that can be developed and strengthened through deliberate effort and practice. At its core, discipline is about choosing what is difficult over what is easy, what is meaningful over what is trivial. It is the ability to act in alignment with your values and goals, even when it is uncomfortable or inconvenient. This is not a natural inclination for most people. Human beings are hardwired to seek comfort and avoid pain, a survival mechanism that served our ancestors well in a world of immediate threats and scarce resources. But in a modern context, this instinct often works against us. The path of least resistance is rarely the path that leads to fulfillment or success. Cultivating discipline begins with small, intentional actions. It's not about making sweeping changes overnight. That approach often leads to burnout and failure. Instead, it's about building momentum through incremental progress. Every time you choose to act in the face of resistance, you are strengthening the neural pathways associated with discipline. Over time, these pathways become more robust, and the act of doing hard things becomes less daunting. It's like lifting weights. The more you train, the stronger you get, and the more you can handle. One of the most important aspects of developing discipline is learning to embrace discomfort. Discomfort is an inevitable part of growth, yet it is something most people try to avoid at all costs. Whether it's the physical discomfort of exercise, the mental strain of learning a new skill, or the emotional vulnerability of difficult conversations, discomfort is the price of progress. By leaning into it rather than running from it, you begin to rewire your relationship with challenge. You start to see discomfort not as a threat, but as a sign that you are on the right track. Another crucial component of discipline is consistency. It's not enough to act with discipline occasionally, it must become a habitual part of your life. This requires structure and planning. Without a clear plan, it's easy to fall back into old habits and patterns of behavior. Setting specific goals, breaking them into manageable steps, and scheduling time to work on them are all essential strategies. But more than that, it's about showing up for yourself every day, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it. Those are the moments that truly define your character and strengthen your discipline. Accountability also plays a significant role in building discipline. It's much easier to stay committed to your goals when you have someone or something holding you accountable. This could be a mentor, a coach, a friend, or even a system of self-accountability like journaling or tracking your progress. The act of measuring and reflecting on your efforts creates a sense of responsibility that makes it harder to give in to excuses. Accountability helps bridge the gap between intention and action, keeping you on course even when motivation wanes. Motivation is another concept that is often misunderstood in the context of discipline. Many people wait for motivation to strike before taking action, but this is a flawed approach. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like the weather, influenced by countless external factors. Discipline, on the other hand, is stable and reliable because it is not dependent on how you feel in the moment. It's about doing what needs to be done, regardless of your emotional state. In fact, the act of taking disciplined action often generates motivation as a byproduct. When you start to see progress and build momentum, your motivation naturally increases, creating a positive feedback loop. It's also important to recognize that discipline is not about perfection. It's not about never making mistakes or never giving in to temptation. It's about how you respond when you falter. Do you let one misstep spiral into a pattern of avoidance, or do you pick yourself up and recommit to your goals? Resilience is a key aspect of discipline. It's the ability to bounce back from setbacks and keep moving forward, even when the road is difficult. This requires self-compassion, the willingness to forgive yourself for your mistakes, while still holding yourself accountable for your actions. One of the biggest barriers to discipline is the tendency to overcomplicate things. Many people set themselves up for failure by creating elaborate plans or setting unrealistic expectations. This can lead to analysis paralysis, where the sheer complexity of the task becomes overwhelming and discourages action. Discipline thrives on simplicity. Start with one small, manageable step and build from there. The key is to focus on progress, not perfection. Each small victory reinforces your belief in your ability to follow through, creating a sense of momentum that propels you forward. Another common obstacle is the lure of instant gratification. In a world where nearly everything is available at the touch of a button, it's easy to prioritize short-term pleasure over long-term fulfillment. But discipline requires a shift in perspective, a willingness to delay gratification in pursuit of something greater. This means saying no to distractions, resisting temptations, and staying focused on your goals, even when the rewards are not immediate. It's about playing the long game, understanding that the sacrifices you make today will pay off in the future. The role of mindset in cultivating discipline cannot be overstated. Your beliefs about yourself and your abilities have a profound impact on your behavior. If you see yourself as someone who is undisciplined or incapable of change, that belief will become a self-fulfilling prophecy. Conversely, if you believe in your ability to grow and improve, you are more likely to take the actions necessary to develop discipline. This is why mindset work is such an integral part of the process. By challenging your limiting beliefs and reframing your self-perception, you create a mental environment that supports your efforts. Lastly, it's important to acknowledge that discipline is not an end in itself. It's a means to an end. The purpose of discipline is not to make your life harder or more restrictive, but to create the conditions for growth, achievement, and fulfillment. It's about taking control of your life and aligning your actions with your values and aspirations. When you develop discipline, you gain the freedom to live intentionally rather than being at the mercy of your impulses or circumstances. It's a paradox. By embracing the constraints of discipline, you open the door to greater freedom and possibility. Recognizing and seizing opportunities requires focus and responsibility. Opportunities often appear in ways that are subtle, nuanced, and fleeting. They are rarely presented with a neon sign that says, "This is your moment." Instead, they come disguised as challenges, risks, or even mundane tasks that you might initially overlook. The ability to recognize them requires a sharpness of mind, a willingness to pay attention, and an understanding of what truly matters to you. Without these, opportunities pass unnoticed, leaving you to wonder why life feels stagnant or uninspiring. Focus is a critical component in this process. In a world full of distractions, our ability to concentrate has been undermined by the constant barrage of notifications, entertainment, and demands for our attention. This fragmentation of focus comes at a high cost, as it prevents us from fully engaging with the present moment. Opportunities often arise in the here and now, and if your attention is elsewhere, lost in thought, consumed by trivial concerns, or scattered across multiple distractions, you are likely to miss them entirely. Responsibility, on the other hand, is what drives you to act on the opportunities you recognize. It is one thing to notice a potential opening, but it is another to step into it. Many people shy away from responsibility because it involves risk, effort, and accountability. There is comfort in inaction, in remaining in the realm of the hypothetical where failure cannot touch you. But the cost of avoiding responsibility is steep. It's the erosion of your character and the forfeiture of potential growth. Taking responsibility means acknowledging that your life is shaped by the choices you make. It requires you to step forward, even when the path is uncertain or the stakes are high. It is not about guaranteeing success, but about being willing to engage with the process. Responsibility forces you to confront your fears, to learn from setbacks, and to persevere despite obstacles. In doing so, you not only create the conditions for success, but also build the resilience and strength needed to face future challenges. Recognizing opportunities also involves a mindset shift. It requires you to view the world as a place of abundance rather than scarcity. This doesn't mean ignoring the difficulties or limitations of life, but rather training yourself to see possibilities where others see problems. A person with this mindset approaches life with curiosity and a willingness to explore, which often leads to discovering opportunities in unexpected places. This perspective transforms what might initially seem like setbacks into stepping stones, creating a positive feedback loop of growth and discovery. Equally important is the ability to align your actions with your larger goals and values. Not every opportunity is worth pursuing, and the ability to discern which ones align with your purpose is crucial. This requires introspection, clarity, and a strong sense of direction. Without these, you risk scattering your energy across pursuits that ultimately don't serve you, leaving you feeling unfulfilled despite your efforts. Responsibility, in this context, means taking the time to understand what matters most to you and committing to actions that support those priorities. The interplay between focus and responsibility is what ultimately allows you to seize opportunities. Focus ensures that you're present and aware when opportunities arise, while responsibility compels you to act on them. Together, they form a powerful framework for personal and professional growth. This combination doesn't just lead to external success. It also fosters internal transformation. You become someone who is not only capable of achieving goals, but also deeply connected to the process of living a meaningful life.